In 1969, during Suspicious Minds, Elvis's guitar string snapped and cut his hand. Blood ran down the guitar, dripped onto the stage. Elvis kept playing. When it ended, a journalist asked why he didn't stop. Elvis's answer became legendary. The song wasn't finished. This is the story of the bloody guitar and why art is bigger than pain. It was October 26, 1969, at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. Elvis was in the middle of his triumphant return to live performing after years of hollow movie work. The '68 comeback special had reminded the world why they loved him. Now, night after night in Vegas, he was proving it wasn't a fluke. He was performing Suspicious Minds, the song that would become his last #1 hit. The crowd was on their feet. The energy was electric. Elvis was in the zone, that rare state where performer and performance become one thing. Elvis was playing rhythm guitar, attacking the strings with intensity, completely lost in the music. At the song's bridge, during a particularly aggressive strum, the high E string snapped. The metal string whipped across Elvis's right hand, slicing deep into the flesh between his thumb and forefinger. Blood immediately began flowing. Elvis felt it, the sharp pain, the warm blood. For a split second, his expression changed. The band saw it. The backup singers saw it. Anyone watching closely saw it. But Elvis didn't stop playing. He switched his grip, adjusted his strumming to avoid the broken string, and kept going. Blood ran down his hand onto the white guitar, dripping onto the stage floor. His white jumpsuit sleeves started showing red stains. The band didn't know what to do. Should they stop the song? Signal for help? But Elvis's eyes told them clearly, keep playing, so they did. Through the rest of Suspicious Minds, through the false ending, through the climactic finish. Elvis sang every word, hit every note, gave the performance everything it needed. When the song finally ended, Elvis immediately handed the guitar to Charlie Hodge and walked off stage, hand dripping blood, leaving a trail of red drops on the white stage floor. The audience had no idea what had happened. To them, it was just another perfect Elvis performance. Backstage, the medic rushed to Elvis. The cut was deep, requiring 7 stitches. As the doctor worked, Elvis's people gathered around, shocked and concerned. "Boss, why didn't you stop?" Joe Esposito asked. "You were bleeding all over the stage." Elvis looked at his hand being stitched and said something that everyone in that room would remember forever. The song wasn't finished. "What?" Charlie Hodge said. "You were hurt. Nobody would have blamed you for stopping." "That's not the point," Elvis said, wincing as another stitch went in. "The song wasn't finished. The audience deserved to hear it all the way through. That's the contract between performer and audience. I give them everything until the song is done. My hand can wait. The song couldn't." "But Elvis," the doctor said, working carefully, "you could have damaged tendons. If the cut had been a 1/4 inch deeper, you might not have been able to play guitar again. Was finishing one song worth that risk?" Elvis looked at him steadily. "Yes, because if I stopped for pain, if I broke that connection with the music because my hand hurt, then what's any of it worth? The music has to be bigger than the pain. Otherwise, it's just a job. And music is never just a job." The story of Elvis playing through the broken string spread quickly. A photographer who'd been documenting the Vegas shows had captured the moment. Elvis's face contorted slightly with pain, but still singing, blood visible on his hand and guitar, the white stage now marked with red. The photograph was stunning and disturbing. Elvis mid-performance, clearly hurting, clearly bleeding, but still giving everything to the song. The image became iconic, reproduced in magazines worldwide. "Elvis bleeds for his art," read one headline. "The show must go on. Elvis plays through injury," read another. But the headline that mattered most to Elvis was from a small music magazine. "Elvis shows what commitment to music really means." 3 days after the incident, a young journalist named Sarah Chen interviewed Elvis. She'd been granted access specifically because she'd written a thoughtful piece about the broken string incident, not sensationalizing it, but analyzing what it revealed about Elvis's relationship with performance. "Mr. Presley, everyone's talking about the guitar string incident," Sarah began. "But I want to understand, why was finishing that song more important than your safety?" Elvis thought carefully before answering. "Can I tell you about my mama? She died in 1958. I was in the Army. I got emergency leave to see her in the hospital. I sat with her, holding her hand. She was in so much pain. But you know what she said to me? Elvis's voice caught. He paused, then continued. She said, "Baby, don't you dare stop singing because of me. Don't you dare let pain make you give up on what matters." She was dying, and she was worried about me giving up on music because of grief. After she died, I almost did give up. The pain of losing her was so big I couldn't see past it. But then I remembered what she said, that I couldn't let pain, any kind of pain, stop the music. Because music is what we give the world. It's what makes the pain bearable, not just for me, but for everyone listening. So when that string broke and cut my hand, Elvis continued, I thought about my mama. I thought about all the people who'd paid money and time to be there. I thought about what music is supposed to be, something bigger than our individual pain. And I kept playing. Sarah wrote down his words, then asked quietly, "Do you think you're too hard on yourself? That you expect too much?" "Maybe," Elvis admitted, "but I'd rather expect too much than too little. I'd rather bleed for something real than play it safe and give people half of what they deserve. That photo that everyone's talking about, the bloody guitar, that's not about me being tough or dedicated. It's about the song being more important than me, and that's how it should be." The bloody guitar became a symbol. Elvis had it framed and hung in his private room at Graceland, not as a trophy, but as a reminder. "Why do you keep it?" Lisa Marie asked her father once, looking at the guitar with its dried blood still visible on the white finish. "Because it reminds me what music costs," Elvis said, "and that the cost is worth paying. Some nights performing feels easy and joyful. Other nights it hurts, physically, emotionally, spiritually. But the music doesn't care about my pain. The music just is. And my job is to serve it, not the other way around." "That sounds lonely," Lisa Marie said. "Sometimes it is, but it's also what makes it matter. If I only performed when it was easy, when I felt good, when everything was perfect, what would that be worth? The music that matters most is the music you make even when it hurts, especially when it hurts." The story influenced countless musicians, artists facing their own moments of pain, physical injuries, emotional breakdowns, personal crises, would remember Elvis playing through the broken string and find courage to continue. "I broke my ankle during a tour," said Bruce Springsteen. "Doctors said I should cancel shows. But I thought about Elvis and that guitar string. I thought about what we owe the music and the people who come to hear it. I performed sitting down for 6 weeks. It wasn't easy, but the music deserved that effort." The photograph of Elvis playing through the pain became one of the most famous images in music history. It appeared on album covers, in documentaries, in exhibitions about performing arts, not because it was glamorous or exciting, but because it captured something essential about what it means to be truly committed to art. "That photograph shows the price of excellence," said photographer Annie Leibovitz. "We see performers on stage and think it's all glamour and applause, but Elvis bleeding while playing, that's the real story. Art costs something, and the artists who matter most are the ones willing to pay." Elvis's hand healed, though he carried a scar for the rest of his life. He'd look at it sometimes, running his thumb over the thin white line, remembering. "Does it hurt?" people would ask. "Not anymore," Elvis would say, "but the memory does, in a good way. It reminds me why I'm here." After Elvis died in 1977, the bloody guitar was displayed at Graceland as part of an exhibit about his Vegas years. Visitors often spend the longest time at this exhibit, staring at the dried blood on the white guitar, reading the story, thinking about what it means to commit completely to something. "My father played through pain because the music demanded it," Lisa Marie said at the exhibit's opening. "Not because he was trying to be tough or prove something, but because he understood that art is bigger than any individual moment of suffering. That photograph of him bleeding on stage, that's not about the blood. It's about the song. And the song was always what mattered most to him." The broken string incident became a teaching moment in performing art schools. Commitment means different things in different contexts, professors would say. But Elvis playing through injury shows us that real artists understand they're in service to something larger than themselves. The music, the performance, the connection with audience, those things matter more than personal comfort. The incident also sparked important conversations about when to push through pain and when to stop. Elvis made a choice in that moment, said sports medicine doctor Dr. James Chen. It was risky. It could have ended badly. But he understood what that particular moment demanded. The key is knowing the difference between pain that's dangerous and pain that's just uncomfortable. Elvis knew. That's judgment, that's experience, that's commitment. Today, the photograph of Elvis with the bloody guitar is one of the most powerful images of artistic dedication ever captured. Not because of the blood alone isn't meaningful, but because of what it represents. The moment when art demands everything and the artist gives it without hesitation. The song wasn't finished. 5 words that define what it means to be fully committed to your craft. 5 words that separate those who perform from those who simply show up. 5 words that remind us art isn't a hobby or a job. It's a calling that sometimes requires sacrifice. Elvis could have stopped. Should have stopped, many people said afterward. But he didn't. Because the song wasn't finished. Because the audience deserved completion. Because music matters more than blood. That's not recklessness. That's understanding priorities. That's knowing what you're in service to. That's being an artist in the truest sense. Someone who sees their role as channeling something larger than themselves, even when it hurts. The guitar string snapped on October 26, 1969. Elvis's hand bled. The song continued. The performance was complete. The photograph captured everything. And decades later, when artists face their own moments of pain and decision, they sometimes think of Elvis and the broken string. They remember that the song matters more than the hurt. That completion matters more than comfort. That art is always bigger than pain. The song wasn't finished, so Elvis didn't stop. That's what artists do. They finish, no matter what it costs. If this story of commitment, pain, and the price of art moved you, subscribe and share it. When did you push through pain for something that mattered? Let us know in the comments. Hit that notification bell for more true stories about the cost of excellence.